And let's talk about Michael Jackson, that is. So tomorrow, wait, no. In a couple of days, because today's Tuesday, usually around Thursday night, going into Friday, the movies start to hit the theaters. So already the embargo has been lifted on the new Michael Jackson movie. The family was there on the red carpet, I believe, yesterday. It's funny, on the East Coast, we had the Devil Wears Prada red carpet. On the West Coast, on the West Coast, I believe they had the Michael um red carpet premiere with all the celebrities and stuff that was there, because we saw a lot of the family. We saw Detective LaToya, we saw Prince. We didn't see Blanket, we didn't see Paris, because I don't think Paris was anything to do with this damn movie. Um, and we've seen some of the brothers, and we've seen, I don't know why Usher wanna be Michael Jackson ass was there, but he was there. Missy Elliott apparently showed the film to Candy Burris and her family, because Candy went on social media with some of that Missy treated them to the film. It was a 10 out of 10. So, of course, the hardcore Michael Jackson fans are going to love it. I've been hearing a lot of the reviews on the film. A lot of people saying it's not a good movie. And they're saying what it is that Jafar is good as Michael Jackson. He embodies a lot of the Michael isms and things of that nature in the film. Everybody's saying Coma Domingo eats down as Joe Jackson. They want, but they also said, and there was some good things said about Nia Long as well, playing Catherine. But I think a lot of people saying they wanted to see more of the dynamic between Joe and Catherine. Maybe I guess the only way we'll see that, we got to go back and watch that old VH1 film with who was it that played Michael's father? Was it Tina Knowles' ex? Was that who played Michael Jackson daddy, Joe Jackson? And then what was her name? Angela Bassett. So do we have to go back to that version in order to get some of the nuances of and the complexities of the whole Jackson family and what they went through and all that stuff? There was a lot of people saying that it feels like a long 2 hour music video, which I literally got that watching the trailer. When I was listening to some of the reviews, I'm like, I could definitely see that. It definitely gave 2 hour music video, and they say they play it too safe. They don't really go take a deep dive into Michael stuff, and they do say that maybe that's what they were going to do, because remember when we talked about on the show before, the film was supposed to open with the police lights on in the background, and they were coming to search his house because of the allegations from one of the kids that he had touched them inappropriately. And so then the third act was supposed to be about Jordan Chandler, the trial, and all other stuff. Then they realized that the lawyer made a damn mistake and didn't look into the fact that um they weren't supposed to cover that. So they had to cut that whole scene. I feel bad for the actors who all participated in it. You're not going to get your moment, but they cut that part out. And so they say it basically ends with Michael, I think it's like the last 30 minutes is like a performance, or pretty much like I guess the same vibe that we got from Bohemian Rhapsody, another movie I hated, and then someone who actually worked on that film worked on this one. So I already know how I'm gonna feel about the movie. I'm gonna be disappointed. I'm probably you'll be there for the nostalgia. You'll like the fact that you're seeing all of this on stage. You're getting to watch the behind the scenes of, oh yeah, they're putting the Thriller video and all this other stuff, and I'm like, that's cool or whatever, but I could just go on YouTube and watch old Michael videos if I need to do that. I don't need to see reenactments of someone who is related to Michael doing a reenactment of the situation. That to me is not entertaining. But I'm gonna sit and watch the movie anyway, because like I told you, I got A-list. It pays for the ticket, so I'll probably go this weekend and watch it. And I'm gonna probably be all up in my feelings about, you know what? I like seeing all the costumes and the performances and listening to the music, and all that's great. But I feel like for me, I want more. I want a little more depth. I don't want just surface level stuff. And the problem with a lot of these biopics, which has been turning me off, and I think my overall reason why I don't like biopics is because they're all surface level. It's this, okay, so we like the artist, but what motivated them to want to be the star that they are? We get that Joe Jackson didn't want to get out of poverty. He didn't want to be a blue collar worker no damn more. So his kids had talent and decided to milk him for all it's worth, meaning that y'all gonna be our ticket out of this poverty. And yes, for a while it worked. And then how Joe treated Michael. I'm saying that from what people are saying, I'm sure I'm gonna want more than that, because I'm like, I don't want surface level shit, but I'm gonna give my overall opinion on the film after I see it. But this is what the overall complaints of the film now. So I'm sure like the hardcore fans will eat it up, but for the most part, I probably will feel like a lot of these damn critics. But anyway, speaking of which, so um there's two things. regarding the story. One, LaToya Jackson was on the red carpet and she spoke to Mark Malkin, because he gets around, on why Janet Jackson didn't want. Well, she basically praised her nephew Jafar. What else is she going to say? And she also opened up about why Janet Jackson, excuse me, is not in the movie. So we're gonna play that clip, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk. Please hold.
Perfect. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So, what did you think when they came to you and said, we want to do a biopic about Michael?
I said, this is wonderful. Just make sure it's true to life. And it was good. It was great. And it is.
How much fun was it being on set and seeing Jafar?
Oh my gosh. I, I, I have to tell you that Jafar was absolutely fabulous. I'm sure you've seen the movie and you know how wonderful he is, how we all forget and think that we're watching Mike. And it's like, oh, I forgot this is Jafar. So he really delivered. He did a fabulous job.
And obviously, the movie had some bumps and bruises along the way. Were you ever nervous that it might not be released?
No, I wasn't. I knew within time it would be. It's sometimes
He always says that he.
it takes time, and yes, of course, here we are.
Have you started consulting on the sequel or the third movie?
I'm not sure if there's going to be a sequel. That's up to the producers. I hear there might be. We don't know. So, no, I haven't been contacted yet. So,
Did you miss not having Janet in the movie?
I wish everybody was in the movie. So,
Did you try to convince her and say, let's do it?
well, she was asked and she kindly declined. So, you have to respect her wishes.
Well, that's it on that part. And it's like, yeah, Jana's like, I got way up bigger things to be worrying about this tight ass movie. That's probably what she said. But she ain't, but she said it like this. So I won't be part of that shit. But anyway, um, okay, let's give it or whatever. So, but funny enough, he was sitting there saying that there should be a second or third. I'm like, damn, can we get through the first one? Nobody said anything about a third movie. Although I did hear that at the end they kind of do some Avengers type shit, which is like they leave it open. Like I guess it's somewhere that Michael will be back in the second film, something or another in that way. So they kind of played a very Avengers style where there could be a sequel because I've heard that there is extra footage that they have put to the side that they want to work around the possibility of making a second one. And I'm sure this movie will do enough financially where a second will be greenlit. But if they do, I really hope that because y'all play it safe, y'all don't really go, from what I heard, deep diving into a lot of who Michael was and all this other stuff. But if we're going to do on the other side and we're going to go into the 90s and all other stuff, I definitely think that y'all really need to go there with a lot of the stuff. So if y'all going to sit here and talk about be true to life, we want y'all to be true to life, warts and all. Let's not be all Sesame Street and Disney with putting the story together, or I should say whitewashing, because that's exactly what y'all did with Bohemian Rhapsody. You completely just purified who Freddie Mercury was. You didn't even I don't even think y'all really truly dove into him being a gay rock star and all this other stuff. Y'all played it up like he was into this woman, and y'all spent more time heterosexualizing him than really getting into the gayness. There's one scene where you see him going into a tea room or whatever the case was. I'm not saying you got to show him sucking dick in bathrooms or whatever he was doing or sex part. I'm not saying you had to do that in order to show the gay side. But if you're gonna do a deep dive into someone, especially like a Freddie Mercury, what you should have did was let's what is it like being an A-list mainstream rock star and the juxtaposition of having to hide your queerness. You can be flamboyant over stuff, but you can't address the gayness and that struggle that comes with that, being a mainstream star and people telling you can't be gay in this and you can't be a superstar and a homosexual. Same thing like and the overall and they also said something that like where was the overall deep dive into Michael where he had the struggles of getting his music on MTV due to racism? Because we're not gonna sit up here and act like MTV weren't full of fucking racists, where y'all wasn't even allowing black people to have their music on your channel. It had to get to a point where David Bowie had to sit in the interview and call out MTV for their lack of black talent on the channel for them to all of a sudden have an epiphany and allow Black people to cross over into that whole situation. So I think like we're going to be having these things, we really need to go there and tell these stories and not sit them and try to act like, well, yeah, Michael Jackson was just somebody who father tortured him and he had to get out of that whole situation. He just moonwalked all day. Like, you ain't got much of a movie there. But then we're gonna cover up all the deep dive stuff by just giving y'all, let's do a full thing of Beat It, Thriller. Let's do full music videos and distract y'all from the fact that this is a weak ass script. So now, speaking of which, since we're getting into the whole Jafar situation, and then on Janet Jackson, I'm like, yeah, if she don't want to be a part of it, she don't have to. She's got other things going on. Now, I would love to see Janet in her own biopic. Now that's a movie I would love to see. It'll probably be a little more edgier than what we're getting with Michael. Now, speaking of Michael, let's talk about Jafar, who's playing him. So he was also at the premiere, clearly, and he revealed what one of the biggest misconceptions about his uncle. So let's get into that one. And hold on, I got to make sure that it's on it. Oh wait, it's not. I have to hold on. I gotta pull that video up. Oh, this is annoying when it don't allow you to switch over. Okay. So I have that video. We're gonna come back. I forgot to rewind it. Hold on. He was on Extra. Is that Derek Huff? Yes, it is. He's all right, huh? Mr. Huff in a puff. Huffs in a puff. Huffs in a puff. Wait, let me close Detective LaToya. Okay, so we're gonna watch this clip and then we're gonna come back and talk again. Please
I
hold.
think the biggest misconception of your uncle is?
The biggest misconception, that I would say that he wanted to be white. That's a big misconception, and that this film gives you that understanding of what that is. You know, what that vitiligo played a part in his life, and not a lot of people really understand what that is.
Yes.
And he was dealing with that from an early age.
Dude, well, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I heard they address it in passing and then they move on from it because if you're gonna address the whole vitiligo thing, I now do I believe him? I'm gonna call bullshit on it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit up here and try to act like I don't acknowledge people with vitiligo. I mean, we got Winnie Harlow out here, who's had a successful modeling career with vitiligo, and we see a lot of people out here who have the situation, but my thing is, if we're going to talk about the vitiligo, do we also address the extensive plastic surgery? Do we address, like, all the things that was going on with that? Like, I'm wondering if a lot of that stemmed from taking a deep dive into his father, probably, talking about his big nose and probably being called unattractive, which Michael was not an ugly person. But when you have people that say real nasty, negative things to you, that gets into your psyche and it's something you can't shake. So you think that when you have all this money and you're bored, that you can just go under the knife and I don't like my big black nose. So now I'm gonna have it out here looking like this. And we're to the point I can't breathe through it no damn more. And then it looks all crazy because them Jackson noses now, y'all definitely look like somebody took a hammer and just smashed the shit out of it. That's what a lot of y'all out here looking. And then the whole lightening your skin. I understand that maybe you need a makeup or whatever to even it out because you want to be out here looking like a cow. But I hope y'all address it. But from what I've heard from the reviews, it is something that is mentioned in passing. There's not something they really dive into and give that whole situation. They don't even give the script a chance to breathe. So it's like when y'all really want to take these moments of really getting into the man behind the persona, they don't really explore that. That's been one of the main complaints about this upcoming movie. So, as I said before, I am definitely going to check this movie out when it comes out. I'm a little skeptical because, y'all already know how I feel about biopics. I always feel like they be on some bullshit when it comes to really deep diving into these stars. And if you're going to make movies based on people, I really feel like that y'all should get into the good, the bad, and the ugly side. But you're probably not willing to go there, because if you really dive deep into and not have the biases, because you got a lot of the Jackson family participating in being executive producers, which quiet as kept, I think is those all vanity situations. I don't think they were as involved, except that they had to come up with $15 million for the reshoots. That probably gives you a whole thing of, yeah, you get the producer credit. But were y'all really over there being a consultant and really going in and putting dotting the I's across the T's on the script and really like, let's get into who Michael was? That's why I told you I don't particularly like biopics, because I don't feel like y'all really get to the meat and potatoes of who these people are. But I guess some people are like, well, then you should watch a documentary. Well, then they shouldn't make a movie about a celebrity if you're really not going to explore the good, the bad, and the ugly side of them. If this is going to be a vanity project because you don't want because you want to have license to the music, then is it a real movie? Then is it a real pic of a bio picture that you want people to check out, or this is some vanity project that the fans just go, oh my God, we get to see Michael on our screens, and we get to hear Beat It. And it takes me back to a time of nostalgia when I was a little kid and I heard this song for the first time and it had me in my feeling. Like, okay, if it's all about feelings and vibes and shit, then okay. But I guess I'm just not going to take the movie with a grain of salt. I'm going to just sit there and enjoy it and just see it as just a film rather than a movie that's truly exploring who this person really is. I say if you're not going to do that, don't make the fucking movie. But who am I, right? I might be a minority in this situation. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Michael Jackson and what LaToya said on why Janet is not in the film, and Jaafar saying one of the biggest misconceptions? Because I said, child, if that's all that the biggest misconception that he want to be a white man, and you thinking that's supposed to be enough because that's a trigger with black people already, with the fact that y'all don't like people in interracial relationships because you think they looking down on black folks whenever they get with white people because it's for proximity and access, or the fact that there's a lot of black people who with the self-hatred, and because we're in this big divide with racism and the current regime and all this other mess. If you think that's the only thing that about Michael Jackson that is a big misconception, and you really have been living in a bubble. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.